Was there anything that started draining you the most?
Euthanasias are still very hard for me. I never got calluses for the euthanasias. Some people develop the calluses and in a good way, like in a necessary way. And I've never been very good at that.
There's only so much I think the body can handle, and there's only so much you can compartmentalize. If I knew a euthanasia was coming in, I would go outside and vomit. What would you say to someone who's saying you're just trying to replace someone's job because it's cheaper?
If I could fully staff a hospital with fairly paid employees 24/7, 365, I would be charging more than most people could afford for veterinary care. So I'm not trying to replace the job. I'm trying to replace a part of their job that has already spilled over. When it comes to AI, I say it doesn't replace jobs. It replaces tasks. And those aren't the same thing. That's that segmentation and bit of the Leonardi thing, right? Like, you're not really, like, some of your tasks you're gonna give up. If your whole job was one task, okay, you might be in trouble, but nobody's job in a vet hospital is just one thing.
And I find it interesting that veterinary medicine is so science-driven, yet we're afraid of implementing new technologies to make our life easier.
We talk about the scientific approach. How many clinics are checking their missed calls? And checking their missed calls against new clients, against callbacks, against actual conversions? I wasn't. And as a practice owner, when we started doing it, when Nick was like, I think this matters, when we started counting the things that we weren't counting, it made my stomach drop. Because we were missing a ton, I'm a one doctor practice. We were easily missing 6 figures of revenue for letting calls go to voicemail. And people wouldn't leave a voicemail, and we wouldn't get a chance to call them back.
I always say, part of my brain says, oh, veterinarians are afraid of technology. But on the other side of the brain, now that I've done all this research, I always think, are we just too burnt out? Are we too exhausted to try to implement something new? Do we have that bandwidth to even try? Because implementation is always the hard part. So as a leader, how do you implement it and get your staff excited about it? Nationwide, client visits are down, which means the cost of missed opportunities has never been higher. The question for clinics isn't how do we get more people to come in? It's how do we make sure we didn't miss the moment when a client already reached out? Because phones are still ringing during peak chaos, during lunch, and especially at night when no one is there to answer. A pet owner calls after hours, they're worried. They don't know if it's urgent. And what happens in that moment often determines whether they wait, go elsewhere, or lose trust, all before your clinic opens the next day. Today's episode is focused on that exact gap, and it's sponsored by MissCalls.help, a platform designed to help veterinary clinics answer and understand the calls they're currently missing, especially after hours, without replacing staff or sacrificing control. My guest is Dr. William Tancredi, a practicing veterinarian who uses AI voice agents to gain visibility into what's really happening on his phones, reduce strain on his team, and make sure real opportunities don't quietly disappear. We're talking about what AI voice agents solve right now, what they'll enable in the near future, and why in a softer market, answering better matters more than marketing louder. If you've ever wondered what you're truly missing when the phones go unanswered, this episode is for you. Welcome to Irreplaceable Truths. So how long have you been with Flair Vet?
How long has Flair Vet been around? Since the beginning, I guess.
Were you all classmates?
No, we just kind of met and, kind of connected and mutual interests and mutual attitudes towards vet med. John's kind of the brains and motor behind it, but, Chris has some background and David has some background. Sammy was a late addition, not a late addition, but like a new addition. She, just somebody we met and liked and wanted to include on the podcast. And she seemed to get along and fit in. And Greg was the same way, like just people we kind of picked up along the way.
Oh, wow. Oh, that's awesome. So now you just got this big group of people who love talking about the issues of veterinary medicine.
Yeah, yeah, and there's a lot of people who are um, like you have a podcast. Like a lot of people
Yeah.
are eager to talk about these things,
Yeah.
and to have a place where you don't just get like the same 5 or 10 big names over and over again is
Right.
kind of nice.
Yeah. I mean, I talk to everybody. I love talking to everyone because everyone has a story that needs to be told, and everyone's
Yeah,
story is a little different, you know, and everyone sees the profession a little different, and everyone sees issues a little differently. You know, I, I, I'm, I don't want to say I'm concerned because, but I just don't know about the sustainability the way we're headed right now because we're already short, and with the attrition rate where it's sitting, I don't know how we make it up. And
yeah.
just opening more vet schools is, I don't know. That's
Just
not
more
the
people to
answer.
burn out. Like I don't think that's a good answer. I think I think the job of veterinarian got a lot bigger, right? Like I don't think we've quite caught up to the fact that like veterinarian now means practice manager, medical director, PR manager, and inventory expert, a- and like and training specialist, right? Like all of a sudden that job, it just kept getting bigger, and the emotional demands got bigger as people care more and more about the pets, and um, the margins got smaller and smaller as other people realized that you could make money doing this. And I think we're asking a lot of veterinarians. I like my attitude towards it would be like I really want to do this like clinician thing like 2 to 4 days a week and do writing and research and consulting and all that kind of stuff the other 2 or 3 days a week. That's where I'd love to end up someday, but in the meantime I run a hospital.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, you wear those three hats for sure. You have entrepreneur, manager, and doctor, right? And under each of those hats, there's a lot of little sub hats, and it's hard. I mean, I had two practices I was running, um, and the problem was I didn't have any. My kids did not want to be a veterinarian after seeing what grandpa, mom, and dad were going through,
Yeah,
and then my associates had no interest in buying, so we sold corporate, which woo, that's a whole story in its own.
sure.
And I immediately got the imposter syndrome of, hey, you were doing it wrong. So that's when I went and got my MBA. And then the dean at Pepperdine said, hey, why don't you stay on and get your DBA? And that's how this whole podcast came to be, was my dissertation, like all the research I was doing for it and all the
That's cool.
articles I
Yeah,
was
yeah, yeah.
reading. Yeah, and that's how this came to be. And now I love talking about all the stuff I'm talking about. Some people say maybe I'm a little too negative because I am one of the biggest cheerleaders for the profession. I love it more than anything. But there, but I'm also a disruptor, and I guess you are too. And I guess if you are going to disrupt, you're going to come off as uh, a bah humbug. I guess I don't
Yeah,
know.
I don't. Some of the best advice I got was so for a long time I was trying to like write and speak and make a name for myself, and I was in a group that really wanted everybody to get along and not to bother anyone and everybody just to have a good time. And so I was kind of like muffled, if not muzzled, to and I finally I left that group and I um, kind of made my own way, and I got advice from somebody who was like, well, I didn't like what I was writing, and I got advice from somebody who said like, yeah, because you're writing not like you're writing bland and to be liked by everybody, and like you're kind of an intense, difficult, demanding hard ass. Like you're not gonna fake it. You're not gonna fake being something else. Like lean into it. Like maybe you're just the grouchy vet who with high standards. And ever since then, it was like, oh, okay. And that seems to work. Being kind of impatient and intense and uh, not, um, making integrity and honesty more important than people's feelings seems to work for me.
Yeah, everyone always used to. I mean, I've been told I have so many opinions and so few filters. I'm trying to get filters, but it's hard to get filters. And when I do write, I make sure I write in a neutral tone, but I also what sometimes drives me a little crazy is that a lot of people write, especially in our profession, and they don't give solutions. They just write about the issues.
Mm.
Right. And so I try to make sure when I do write my newsletters that I put solutions out there, and it's up to everyone else on whether or not they're going to think about them. I at least want to start the crucial conversations,
Well,
which I think
that's the
veterinarians are
clinician,
scared to
right?
have
Like
them.
you don't, well, because you might be wrong, right? And a lot of people are afraid to be wrong. And I think you are the clinician, right? Like diagnosis is not the end of the conversation, right? Like you need a treatment
Right.
option. That's the rest of the job. Like that's and I think a lot of folks, because it is hard to have time to do that research, publish and prepare well, and still be in the clinic once in a while.
Right.
And a lot of folks don't. A lot of folks who speak don't do. And but if you don't speak, you're not the authority. You're not well. You don't get a seat at the table. And if you do speak, you got to spend so much time doing it that it's really hard to find the time to practice. Like there are people who say, "Oh, I'm a speaker, but I'm still a practicing clinician." Like, yeah, on Thursday mornings, right? Like,
Yeah.
all right, I
Yeah.
it's a little different when you're doing it 5 and 6 days a week.
I know, I love what I'm doing now. Like I do this during the week. I do a lot of consulting for small businesses now too. And then I get to, believe it or not, it's the best fourth quarter job I could ever have. I do relief for Banfield.
Oh yeah,
And oh yeah. And for me, I don't, Banfield, I was always like, I don't know, but I tell you, I enjoy my times there because their staff is good. I don't
yeah,
think Banfield is the hospital for the first or second quarter of your career. But when you're in the fourth quarter of your career, like I
right.
am, it's phenomenal. I love talking to the clients. I know that, that most of them have their Banfield plans. So a lot of things are already paid for. It totally changes the conversation. It,
Mm-hmm.
it, it, it brings down that wall. So you could kind of say, listen, this is what we need to do. And, for the great majority of the part, the clients are like, okay, that sounds good. And it because that's the hardest part. I always felt as a clinician in your own practice is you have those three hats on when you're in the room, and you're trying to make the first and foremost the best decision for the pet, right? And then you need to read the room and make the best decisions, come up with all these different options for the owner. And then you got to be able to defend yourself off of those decisions if push comes to shove and someone wants to take it to the next level if they're not happy with the outcome.
Mm-hmm.
And it really, you don't realize how much it takes a toll on you until you just officially just truly step away, which I did for 9 months. Like I was nowhere near a clinic for 9 months. And it took 9 months for my brain to reset. It really did. It was rough. It really was rough. And it was unbelievable. So, and
I
you're just getting into it. So,
I'll tell you, I I do understand why we're so prone to burnout. And well, I understand one of the reasons is like it's like the job is cool, the job is fun, the job is rewarding, right? Like I worked an ER shift a couple of weeks ago, and
so much
like,
fun.
holy smokes, it was awesome. I mean, I had good colleagues. That really helped a lot. It was a good hospital, excellent technicians, right? Like, really helped make it a good experience. Um, but like I get why people get addicted to it. Like it is super cool. Like it's like you're instead of like, yep, here's a rabies shot, have a nice day. Like everything I saw that day, like this matters. Like that you need to see me right now.
Yeah. And I mean, I did an ER shift about 3 weeks ago, and I had a linear foreign body. I had an emergency C-section. I had a prolapsed uterus. Oh, what else did we have? We had a jejunal torsion, um, and then I had two respiratory distresses. I mean,
Mm,
it's like general practice on crack, and you don't know what's coming through the door.
you
That's
don't.
the best part. That's the best part because you just got to be on your toes, ready to go. Now, could I do that 4 days a week? No, I
I
it,
I got to
whew,
tell you, man, a lot of the ER clinicians I see, they're like the presidents. Like the before and after pictures on being in the White House for 8 years. You're like,
like Obama, like Barack
yeah,
Obama.
yeah, yeah. Or you're just like, oh man, that looks like it was more than 4 years. That looks like it was more like, you know what I mean? And like, that's not a political statement. That happens to like all the presidents. None of them look better after than they did before, right? Like, not a one of them were like, that was relaxing. Um, but like, I really do think it's like I get why it's like, man, that is cool. Like, and that's but and when you're trying to staff an ER and somebody's like, I got another one in me, you're like, all right, yeah, sure, okay, you can do another. I need you, so let's go. Like, there's still patients out the door.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
I was in middle of nowhere, Pennsylvania. We were on a 12 plus hour wait, and we had three ER clinicians,
Wow.
like three, and you're just like, and like the demand is there. And I think there was like one patient all day where I was like, yeah, you don't really need to be here. Like, go take a Tums and call me if it gets worse. Like, everybody else really needed care.
Yeah. Well, and animals don't choose when they get sick. That's the bottom line,
No.
you know. And also, the one thing I always taught my mentees, whether there was before vet school or after vet school, was an emergency is what the client deems an emergency. I
Right.
mean, that's the bottom line.
Hmm.
And it's your job to, once they come in and they're all stressed, is to reassess and let them know, hey, I think we can get away with symptomatic treatment versus, hey, we really need to jump all over this now. And ER is amazing. ER is not for everyone, but everyone should try it at least once. It can be addicting. It could really be addicting.
Yeah.
But it could be. You also have to know your limitations too. Like I could imagine doing two overnight shifts back to back. My circadian rhythm was totally off. Everything was gone, and I'm like, I'm too old for this. So I'll do a daytime emergency shift, but there's no way I can do it at night anymore. I mean that's for
Yeah.
the regrets.
Yeah. That's for the with respect to our younger colleagues, the kids who can do that. Like, I got a 2 year old, almost 2 year old, and like, just the one primate who usually sleeps, not always, but usually
Yeah,
sleeps, just kicking my ass. So,
yeah, exactly,
yeah.
exactly. Yeah. Well, why don't you take us back before you got into AI writing and all this? What kind of veterinarian did you think you were going to be?
So a lot of veterinarians like had a vision for their careers. I was a ignorant moron. Like, I had no idea what I was doing. I had an idea of what it was. I've been wrong the whole time. Um, I, I was in school during, um, like the recession of like '08 to 12, and I thought I was going to be a horse vet. And all of a sudden, the number of foals out of Kentucky fell by like more than two by like 70%. And all of a sudden, there were surgeons and internists giving rabies shots, and I was like, "Ooh, you better figure out this dog and cat thing real quick." And you could do more medicine. It was a day job. It was easier. You weren't in barns in January. That was cool. Um, and I just kind of fell into that groove of doing that, and it's where my career took me. I liked it. I seemed to be not terrible at it, so I kept doing it. Um, my first job didn't have a very nice boss. Quit after 6 months. Second job was a corporate gig. That gig has a lot to do with why I'm not a huge fan of corporations and corporate aggregators. Um, but I didn't have like good leaders or good mentors, so I was like, oh, you better figure out how to be one. And you know, eventually opened my own hospital, mostly to stop getting canned. I had a good job right before I opened this place, and my 90-day like welcome to the hospital introductory period was up in like April of 2020. I think I saw 9
Mm.
patients that month. And they're like, "Bill, we think you're swell and all, but we can't keep you." I'm like, "Yeah, I can count, so thanks." And I had free time and nothing to do, so I got my place opened, and I got opened in July of 2020, which ended up being a really good time to open a veterinary hospital by sheer dumb luck. And that's what I've been doing for the last 5 years, five and a
So,
half
what
years.
energized you the most when you graduated about the profession?
Man, that was so long ago. I, I think it's the same thing. Like, I really like helping people, right? Like, you really like, hey, you got a problem with your dog or your cat, and I can do something about it.
Was there
I,
anything? Was there anything that started draining you the most?
um, Euthanasias are still very hard for me. Euthanasias are still very hard. Uh, and I know all the things, and I still do them, and I know it's the right thing to do, but they're never. Uh, I never got calluses for the euthanasias. Some people develop the calluses, and they're in a good way, like in a necessary way, and I've never been very good at that.
Yeah, yeah. Some people, I was able to compartmentalize it for a while, but towards the end, it just there's only so much I think the
Hmm.
body can handle, and there's only
Yeah.
so much you can compartmentalize. Towards the end, um, if I knew a euthanasia was coming in, I would go outside and vomit because when you own the practice and you've seen like your first generation, second generation, third generation of family members,
Oh,
and
yeah.
you're saying goodbye to them, and like that first generation, that's probably their last pet they're going to have, and it gets hard.
Mm.
It gets hard. I did the worst ones for me are like the guy who got the dog when he became an empty nester, and that was like his fishing buddy and his coffee buddy and his walking buddy. And those when they have to say goodbye to that companion, those hit me hard. It was bad enough seeing the kids cry, but when you see a 65-year-old man lose it, I mean, it is hard, and there's nothing that can prepare you for that.
I hear you. I remember a really bad one. I remember working in this hospital where I was a relief vet, and we were sitting. This hospital had church pews for benches
Mm.
in their exam rooms, and this old lady had lost her daughter and her husband in the past 4 months, and I was about to euthanize her cat.
Mm.
And she was crying, and I said, "Is there anything I can do?" And she looked at me and she said, "I just want my family back."
Oh my gosh.
And man, I would like to not have that memory in my mind anymore.
Yeah, well, yeah, you always have those. You'll never lose those. You'll never lose those. Do you think the euthanasia became harder once you became a dad?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I'd kind of backed off beforehand, but um, Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
I think so. Because I don't know, you're thinking about mortality when you're looking at this like beautiful little life is not super fun. Like I don't, you're just thinking about all the terrible things, you know, uh, and it, you compartmentalize and you force it out and you, you know, you, I'm a, stoic with a capital S, right? Like, I believe, you gotta, bad times don't last, so don't worry about them. Good times don't last, so you better enjoy them. But
mm, yeah. Well, the problem is, as humans, we remember the bad times more than we remember the good times, right? There's a saying that 97% of your clients love you, but you only remember the 3% that hate you.
well, and we're bad about that in when like your corporate overlords score you, right? Like, oh, you got three bad reviews. It's like I got 140 good ones. Like that's not a systemic problem. That's an overwhelming majority. Like if I was a football coach, you'd put a statue up to me, right? Like that's if you were 140 and 3, come on. Like that is an outstanding ratio. But because it's a 4.8 on Google, you're like, somebody, some teenager with nothing to do, uh, says they're a social media expert is like, oh, this is a problem. It's like, this is reality.
Yeah. Yeah, there's so many shades of gray to life, and I think
Yeah.
it takes a while to learn that. And if you think it's going to be black and white once you're out in this profession, you're absolutely missing the boat on that, for sure. Is there anything you think emotionally that people don't understand about being a doctor and also a leader of a veterinary clinic?
I think you gotta, there's a lot of phrases for this, but I think the biggest thing emotionally that a lot of people don't understand, and I think a lot of the people who get up and talk about, you know, here's what I do the 3 hours a week I work as a clinician. Um, there isn't a replacement for rest. Like you can't just have more caffeine or something like you need to rest and recover. And I'm a gym rat at heart, so I talk about these things in terms of like fitness analogies. And like, hey, maybe the same way we get in shape before you you don't wait to have a heart attack before we get in shape. Maybe you take care of your mental health before you have a breakdown. Like it's okay actually to be mentally healthy all the time. And I don't really know many good leaders who I've been like, yeah, he's him or her, they are really way off base and not an emotionally healthy person, but they're still a great leader. It's like not probably not. Like if you want to be a good leader, you got to take care of your own emotional and mental health.
How much has technology helped you in the clinic as far as making your job easier?
Um, it's helped me as much as I let it, really. I um I really like the AI stuff. I write a lot about it. Um, I think it's a big deal. I think that I think it can take the emotional bandwidth away from the things that you really don't need, like Dr. Tancredi's quill and effort to manage. Um, because and it can also support and augment the things that I wasn't really trained or set up to do, right? Like writing a client collections letter or a um, effective but kind, um, you know, personal improvement plan for an employee. Um, I think the LLMs, the tech, is a really good way to do that. And it's not that the existing stuff doesn't work, although if to cite your burnout statistics back at you, like kind of seems like they don't work. Um, it's just that for not a lot of effort and not a lot of money, you can do better, right? We're talking about missed calls.help, Nick's company here, and we call it an AI CSR, but what it really is just an upgrade over voicemails and phone trees. And is it absolutely necessary? Like, no, it's just a better experience. It's not it's not world beating, it's not ground shaking, it's not revolutionary. It's just better. And it doesn't have to be perfect to be better. Phone trees suck, voicemails suck. And if you do just a little bit better, like that's reason enough for me to do something. Better is often good enough for me to try something.
Right. And if you do something a little bit better, a lot of people look at you as progressive. And that's
right.
Which clients are looking for, right? The latest tech, the latest this, the latest that. And I find it interesting that veterinary medicine is so science-driven, yet we're afraid of implementing new technologies to make our life easier.
I agree. I think we're afraid because we've gotten sold a bill of goods a bunch of times, right? Like we've had, some sales folks promise like this is the next big thing, and it wasn't. So the skepticism is the good. I think the good news is skepticism is a feature, not a bug, when it comes to AI. Like the people who really get clobbered with AI are the ones who are not skeptical, right? Like the ones who fall asleep at the wheel instead of and trust the AI to do it perfectly every time. I think when it comes to something like the missed calls thing, right? Like we talk about the scientific approach. How many clinics are checking their missed calls and checking their missed calls against new clients, against callbacks, against actual conversions? I wasn't. And as a practice owner, when we started doing it, when Nick was like, I think this matters, when we started counting the things that we weren't counting, it made my stomach drop. Because we were missing a ton, I'm a one doctor practice. We were easily missing 6 figures of revenue for letting calls go to voicemail. And people wouldn't leave a voicemail and we wouldn't get a chance to call them back. And, we hardly ever got them back. And when we did, it took 6 phone calls. And, that was money we'd spent on marketing, on staff time, on everything else. It was one of the, we were just getting clobbered. And is the AI perfect? No, but neither were we. We were getting smoked. That's why I'm like, I was like, stuff doesn't always work. It's vet med, right? Like it's the clinician's mentality. It's why you're skeptical. Like if like my vaccines don't always work. My antibiotics don't always work. Sometimes they cause bad reactions and I have to treat those. I think the attitude that it should work perfectly every time is like, that's neat for your iPhone.
Well, I always wonder. I always say one part, part of my brain says, oh, veterinarians are afraid of technology. But on the other side of the brain, now that I've done all this research, I always think, are we just too burnout? Are we too exhausted to try to implement something new? Do we have that bandwidth to even try? Because implementation is always the hard part. So as a leader, how do you implement it and get your staff excited about it?
Well, for the AI CSR, I just did it, and they didn't. I wanted. But in general, there's a paper out in VetMed about safe technology implementation. It cites no one on change management, on technology implementation, on all these guys that you as an MBA know, like Leonardi and Sengi and Cotter and all those guys, right? Doesn't cite any of them. And it's the classic VetMed, we're going to reinvent the wheel. It's just learn to drive. You don't have to reinvent the wheel.
Right.
So I use the step, what they call the STEP framework. So you segment tasks. The S is segmentation. The T is you identify which ones. I want to make sure I get this right. Hold on.
Well, no, as you're looking that up, I mean, I never ever see the technology acceptance model theory used when it comes to veterinary medicine.
Well, we're never
And
taught it. I mean, you had to get a doctorate in business admin to learn it, right?
and listen to multiple dissertations that are using it as their theory basis. Yes.
Yeah. Let me see here. Um, but yeah, like there's Cotter's 7 steps, there's Leonardi's step framework, and you just pick one that works, right? Like you don't make a new one.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm trying to find this. I don't want to butcher it now that I've gotten into it. And okay, so it's segmentation, transition, education, performance. So segmentation. So first step is segmentation. You break down the tasks, and there are tasks that like you want to use AI for, that you want to automate. There's ones that you want to augment, and there's ones you don't want AI to touch. Right? Like it's not just blanket application. Next bit, transition. You want to change not only you want to change the work roles that are where the tasks are going to augment or automate, right? You want to deepen those roles. And then continuing ed, like you got to keep up with it. Like if you tried AI task generate or like image generation a year ago and you were like, this is stupid, I'm never using this again, it'd be like, oh man, you are missing out.
It changes every 4 to 6 months.
Yeah,
Every
I'm an expert
it's
in
crazy.
AI for about 2 weeks at a time. I like, oh wait, nope, that's not true anymore. Okay, neat. Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
it totally
I gotta
changed.
learn that. Yeah, fantastic. Like I've given lectures in on Labor Day that were factually incorrect by Halloween. It's why I hate when people are like, oh, we'd like to record your lectures. I'm like, oh no. Because by the time they come out a month later,
Yeah.
I look real stupid. I'm like, no, that wasn't okay. Great. And the last bit of that step framework is performance, and you measure what happens, right? Like if it's not working, you change it or give it up, right? Like I'll I'll give you an example, and this isn't an AI example, but I was using remote receptionists a couple years ago,
Okay.
and they were fantastic. They were lovely humans. They did good work. They knew their job. They knew the software. They were doing great. My clients hated it. They did not like that they came to work. They came into the hospital and weren't talking to the person they talked to on the phone. And
Well, I always say the veterinary receptionist job is the hardest job in the hospital.
that
Right?
groomer, the grooming
Yeah.
gig looks.
Pick up the phone. They're the first person they answer, the first person they see, but when they come in the door, the last person they see after they, take the credit card, run it, give them the bill. It is the hardest. So did you see reception as a pain point then? Because obviously if you did these remote receptionists, there's some veterinary clinics that do get the calling center inside their clinic, right? Where
Yeah.
they hire people just to answer phones.
Well, and that's just it. Like I think my clinic didn't work. In your clinic, it might have worked. At the ER, I bet nobody would care. Um, and it's interesting because when I tried the AI CSR, and clients loved it, but I made sure that we didn't bamboozle people. Like if you press 1 to leave a voicemail, you press 2 to talk to our AI powered receptionist. Her name is Lila. And I don't want to con people. I don't, if our industry is more about trust, even more than it's about medicine. And so that was important to me, and people love it for catching stuff. for like leaving voicemails that are like leaving a more detailed voicemail, right? Uh, and the AI gathers the crucial information where people are like, oh, I'm calling to refill my dog's gabapentin 300 milligrams twice a day. And they won't leave the dog's name or their name or their phone number or anything. It's like, great. Just have an unlabeled bottle of gabapentin sitting around, I guess. So we, those changes, you gotta do it in a way that honors your identity, your clinic's identity.
And that's the great thing about the missed calls is that platform is that it doesn't even get into your PIMS. It is just you just need Google Chrome for it to work. And exactly that. They have the chatbot that will basically create an Excel spreadsheet, a Word document, however you want it to come out, and you'll see who called and why they called and what the point of the call was. And, this is so important because you brought up marketing. Veterinarians still spend a good amount of money on marketing. Back in the day when I was starting, it was the yellow pages. Now, obviously, it's everything else between a web page and social media and, review pages and all these other avenues to market. What good does that marketing dollar mean if they pick up the phone, they call you and no one answers?
We were missing 40% of our missed calls were happening when we were closed. And that's on Google, right? Like that's easy to tell. Like that's people were calling when they knew we were closed and they were calling anyway. And so we were catching these when we did it against like new phone calls, like we screened out the the telemarketers and that kind of stuff. Everybody gets that kind of stuff. But we were missing dozens of new clients a month who would call us and not leave a voicemail and never call us back. And 40% of them were after hours. And we spent the money on the SEO management and the website and the ads and all the things, and we were missing them. And now we're not. And it's a big deal, especially now when visits are down.
Yes.
Dog visits are down across the country. Inflation's tough. Like I read a statistic that something like 25 to 50% of people who used buy now, pay later used it on groceries last month. You think they're coming in for carprofen when they're using buy now, pay later on groceries?
No. Yeah. I mean, we discussed this on a previous podcast that
we did.
We are in a recession. We just don't want to admit it. I mean, the beautiful days of our profession in COVID were, it was busy. People had money and everything was where they were spending on their pets. People are still spending on their pets, but there's a lot more empty spots in appointment books. And, I say that to people and they're like, oh no, I'm still busy. And I'm like, yeah, you do not know what you're missing though. That's the problem. The problem is that, you got to think about what you're missing. So how are your Mondays now when you come in? Are they more streamlined because you have a whole list of what you've missed right in front of you?
Yeah, I'm one of those terrible parents and business owners who will check it over the weekend too, just because every once in a while you catch like somebody who sounds like they've got a black cat and I'm like, hey, I'm not coming in for this, but you should, you need to go somewhere else. But I think it's just they've had a better experience, right? Like they weren't stuck in a phone tree. They weren't stuck on hold. They didn't leave, an anonymous voicemail. They got to feel like they were talking to a person. And that person was patient and kind and, is it completely human? No, but I don't want it to be. Like I don't want to hit that uncanny valley where it's creepy. I just want it to be better. And that's enough for me. Better is a reason enough to do something, especially when it's as inexpensive as this is.
Yeah. I mean, the fact that they're giving 3 months free for people just to try it on their overnight calls is a phenomenal thing. And again, it comes back down to, do you think it's fear of not trusting the program, not trusting the platform? I mean,
I
because it used to be fear of, I don't want anything accessing my PIM, which I completely 100%
yeah,
agree, you know,
yeah,
but
major concern, sure.
do you think they just don't see this as a problem?
I I think I think the biggest concern is like, well, what if it gets something wrong? You don't think your CSRs get stuff wrong? You don't think you get stuff wrong? Like if my CSRs tell somebody with a block cat, like, we'll see you next week, and the cat, like, and somebody goes to the state board's not coming for the CSR. They're coming for yours truly. It doesn't matter who makes the mistake. And at least, with technology, you can trace where the mistake happened, which is great. Um, I I don't need my employees or my tech to be perfect. And when I say technology, I say tech, I mean technology, but I everything's imperfect. Like, yeah, how reliably does your printer work? Like, I'm sad. My internet's gone out this week. Like, stuff happens all the time. Um, could it result in patient harm? Yeah, but so could you not be in there. At least this way, there's something that's kind of triaging that might get, that really actually does a pretty good job. I'm not an ER clinic, so we don't have a lot of like those escalation ones. Um, but does a pretty good, decent job of saying, hey, this could be an emergency and you should go to an ER. And man,
It also has the option of, if it thinks it's an emergency, it can transfer them right to an ER.
yeah, that escalation bit is really neat. It'll transfer to your preferred ER. And I've learned that some states require you to have like after hours coverage in the form of like, who do you recommend after hours? Um, I don't know how that works when those places are on divert, but um, I think it's such an easy thing that can, like, if you have a VoIP system, Nick and those guys will set it up by in an hour, and it just works. And I almost nothing I've tried has that level of ease of setup. And I tried gadgets and gizmos and tech all the time. I wish somebody would pay me to just do that. And like, maybe not just do that. Maybe 2 days a week I can just do that. This is as easy as it gets. Like, it does not get any better. And I am a like, yeah, I'm an advisor for missed calls. I am, you know, being paid. I am a notorious pain in the ass. I am not going to shill for, there's not an amount of money somebody could pay me to shill for something that doesn't work and I don't believe in.
What does your staff think of the program?
They don't use it much. I'm still the point person on it because I like to use it. You know what I mean? I still think it's neat. Um, I also lost a bunch of staffers to personal tragedies and illness and everything this month, in the last couple months. So I don't have a ton of, but I really like it, and I think it's a lot easier to use. Um, and I'll tell you, the number one use case is referral clinics calling and requesting records because they don't need to take up my CSR's time, and my CSRs don't even need to call them back. They just say boop, and like, here's the stuff for the ophthalmologist. Um, that saves hours a week.
And stress and
Yeah,
exhaustion,
and
right?
exhaustion and bandwidth and burnout and all those things that those death by 1,000 cuts problems.
Do you believe that your clients trust it?
Yeah, I think they do because they can opt in, and if they don't like it, or they don't trust AI because it's AI, they press 1 to leave a voicemail. They don't, if they don't want it, they don't like it, they don't use it, they are not in, it's not mandatory.
Yeah. I mean, that is definitely something for me that, when it comes to clients' trust, that's why you have a job. And, that's another thing I always worry about is client trust. Like, is there something that will destroy that trust? And I think the fact that if it can make you better at calling people back and getting more information quicker to them, that builds the trust even better.
I think so. And making them feel like they were heard.
Correct.
You
Yep.
leave a voicemail, but you can talk to the AI. And that,
Right.
to me, is better and easier. And, um, it, the, after ragging on corporates, I'll talk about one I like. I like, the CEO of Modern Animal, Steve Eidelman, talks about, improving the client experience. And I think that's what this does, in a small and meaningful way, right? Like, it doesn't sound like it's a big deal, but man, not having to press 1 to talk to a receptionist or press 2 to have your, um, prescription refilled or please wait on hold. Like, I just think it's better.
So what is the one thing, if someone was to come up to you and say, what is the one thing missed calls help the most with right now? Would you say overnight calls? Would you say it's the stress? Or would you say the possibility of all the future things it could do?
Well, the future stuff I'm really excited about. We haven't tried it yet because I haven't had the bandwidth to set it all up yet. But I'm really excited about like the confirmation calls and all that kind of stuff. The post-op calls, and again, you make it an opt-in thing, right? Like, you don't say, "Hey, do you want to call from a technician, or do you want to talk to our, do you mind an AI receptionist calling you for?" And most people say yes, especially in today's world. Um, I'm excited about the future, but that's me. But I think the it's just that, I talked about the thing I like the best is helping people, right? Like helping people with their pets. And if and I can do more of that because I catch those missed calls because of Nick's software. And that's reason enough for me to use it, right? Like, I know I have a monetary incentive to help more people with their pets, right? Like, that's sort of my raison d'etre and business model here. But it's also what I like to do the best. And if I can catch one more person
Hmm.
a month, and I've already caught half a dozen this month because they got to leave a voicemail, like an AI voicemail instead of a regular one. That does it for me. Like, that's enough for me. That's that's making a difference in a one doctor practice that, um I that moves the needle. That's thousands more in revenue. That's half a dozen more opportunities to do good medicine and, uh, be a good neighbor and like be there for my clients. That's it. It doesn't have to be a world beater to be worth the time. Like, Google wasn't the biggest company, the biggest richest company in the world when it came out. Like, it doesn't have to be, um, a perfect finished product on launch and never making mistakes and everything. Like, it just has to make things better, and this does.
Right. But it's AI. It's always going to be learning. It's always going to be evolving.
Yeah.
It's going to learn from itself, and that's the thing. The more it's being used, the more it's going to learn. And it's going to definitely start learning your own practice, like how you are doing things.
Oh, you can train it. You can teach it. Like, Nick will send you a list of stuff of like, hey, what do you want it to say with this, this, and this? And you fill it out your way. What do you want? the personality to be? What do you want the questions to be? Is there anything you want to flag? You know, are you in a part of the world where this is really common or that's really common? Like, it's really neat that way. I, you know, what's his name? Robert Sanchez talks about how transparency is so important, and it's going to matter more and more. This is an easy way to be very transparent and get more clients in because of it, and it's not costing you what you pay a CSR to work a morning shift.
Well, I was just thinking in my head. You said you gained 6 clients, new clients. Probably average clients transaction for each one of them was about, let's just say 300 to 500. Right then and there, you just paid for your marketing for the month.
Yeah.
By doing nothing other than being available or knowing that they were looking for somebody to take care of their pet. And it makes total sense as far as making sure that again, availability is the key to making sure that clients, another one of those things of clients' trust is them knowing that they're able to get a hold of somebody and you being available to talk to them. And I can tell you right now that if a client calls you, let's say 2-3 times, they don't get a hold of anybody. Every time they call Animal Hospital X down the street and they answer, you just lost the client.
Yeah, there's a splenectomy that would have made me payroll. Like, that's, I do think, and people will say, oh, well, it doesn't have the personal touch. I know. I don't think people come to me because of my personal touch. And I got to tell you, I think there's a bunch of veterinarians out there who would be like, yeah, probably not.
Well, you're a fool if you think you're going to make everybody happy.
Sure.
Not everyone buys your personality, and those that do buy your personality are the ones that you need to take care of.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, you just make it opt in. Like, do you want a phone call from a person? Do you want an email, a text message, or you want to try out our AI agent? You'd be shocked at how many people are like, ooh, that sounds cool. I'll try that. And people are pumped. It's neat. It's cool. And you can treat it with like, and I live in a part of the world that's pretty lily white, but you don't. It can speak any language.
That's unbelievable.
Right? Like,
that's unbelievable.
Talk about access to care. Like, this is a really cool way to help access to care.
Yeah. It's not about whether or not veterinarians are trusting technology. It's about, I think, veterinarians trusting that technology will do its job. And, everything you've said is coming to fruition. And the fact that it speaks different languages is huge.
Cool,
especially
right?
Yes. I did have bilingual, receptionists and technicians and assistants and kennel attendants because that was huge out here. But yeah, that again, you're making the life of the owner easier, which will pay itself back in droves. You can trust me on that one.
Yeah, I really think it's, I'll tell you a story from, we were at a conference. I was at a conference with Nick, and we were going to some of the other hospitals, and one of the other hospitals at the conference said, oh, we don't really have missed calls. It's like, what? She's like, no, we check, and we all answer the phone. We never have missed calls. And I was like, oh, okay. And we walked away, and Nick said, we called their hospital, and they did not answer. We got a voicemail. I'm like, I know. They're just not, I know.
Well, veterinarians need to be perfect, right? We got to be perfect.
Right.
Like, they're perfect.
We got to be perfect at all times. Like, they're just not. So I think, like, if you're a practice owner and you want to, like, if you want to be perfect as a practice owner, don't check your missed calls, because it's not a happy, it won't be an easy number for you to stomach. But if you want to get better and you want to like make all of those those marketing dollars pay a little better, start measuring those things, and you'll be like, holy smokes, this is,
Yeah.
it was a major source for us that I was just, like I said, you catch one and you've paid it off for the year. It's like,
Well, there's another statistic, just on missed charges, right? And this is this is the same concept.
yeah.
I mean, just think of how many missed charges you have if you miss the phone call of someone who wants to come in, or someone who needs a refill.
All of the you've missed all of the charges.
Exactly. It makes total sense, especially again when appointments are down. And if you don't think of appointments are down, then you're not using your PIMS correctly to look at the data that shows that you are seeing less appointments, but clients are paying more. And that's only going to go on for so long.
You might be one of the outliers who isn't, right? Like you could be one of the outliers who is not that way, but it's not going to last. You might have been up last month, but you're not going to, it's not indefinite. It's not forever.
Yeah, it's not forever. And I mean, when you look at where we are right now, we're looking at about 2019 when appointments were starting to go back down. And God willing, we do not have another COVID incident to change that for our profession.
I hope we can find a solution that isn't a global pandemic.
Yeah. I mean, because that's kind of where we're headed,
Yeah.
And it's really scary. Is there so let me play devil's advocate right
Please.
now. It's making too many mistakes. How many veterinarians would say that within 3 to 5 calls or 3 to 5 mistakes?
If that's the case, you didn't put your information in correctly. And I will, if you want, I'll throw this out there. I will help you get your information in there in a way that nobody said that to my knowledge yet. But it's like, oh, it's getting our hours wrong. Well, are you putting the hours in correctly? Like, what if you tell it what to say? It'll get there or approximately there. If people are using a colloquial phrase or a local phrase for something that, if you live in a part of the world where they don't call heartworm, or they call it something else, like maybe you need to, update the local jargon or something. But that's usually an input problem, not an, the AI is smart enough. We aren't always.
So you're saying most of the issues that you've noticed are user error?
Some version of it. There's stuff that I imagine is like, is it really an error, or is it just kind of an esoteric problem with the language? You read Malcolm Gladwell's thing about how the Korean pilots are more prone to crashing because they're too polite. For the New Yorkers, for example, like maybe a culture that understates things in a place where they tend to overstate things, something might get missed, and you want to recalibrate for that. Or maybe you're in a part of the world where people are very direct and emphatic, and you want to, like, not everything's an emergency. You want to, like, tone it down. That kind of stuff can happen. I think you might have to titrate a little bit for your practice in your part of the world. And I would like to say that it was light out when I started this. It got dark very fast. I had my window open. It was a nice afternoon. An hour later, it is Nighttime. So I'm gonna flip the lights here. Um, whoops. Um, it was like there's sun shining when I started.
See, I'm surprised a guy like you who's so into technology doesn't have smart light switches.
No, no, I kind of like being able to turn the lights off and sit in a dark room and think for a minute. I don't actually want. That's something I want control over.
Yeah, no kidding. You want to control the lights. Well, you know, the other thing I was thinking of is
Yeah, go back to playing devil's advocate.
yeah, no,
it's starting to get too dark to be comfortable. Yeah.
Where do you believe that, okay, how would you respond to somebody when they come up to you and they say, we are a very people person profession, people first.
Sure.
There is no reason that we should not be answering the phone. A computer should be.
How many calls are you missing? Tell me you're not missing 20 to 40% of your phone calls, and I'll be like, all right. If you're missing 5% or you're only missing them after hours, like, okay. But that's not what you're doing. Do you have voicemail? Yeah. Okay, well then a computer's answering your phone sometime. Right? Like it's just a different computer. And mine's better.
So what would you say to someone who's saying you're just trying to replace someone's job because it's cheaper?
If I could fully staff a hospital with fairly paid employees 24/7 365, I would be charging more than most people could afford for veterinary care. So I'm not trying to replace the job. I'm trying to replace a part of their job that has already spilled over. When it comes to AI, I say it doesn't replace jobs. It replaces tasks. And those aren't the same thing. That's that segmentation and bit of the Leonardi thing, right? Like you're not really like some of your tasks you're going to give up. If your whole job was one task, okay, you might be in trouble, but nobody's job in a vet hospital is just one thing. So I actually don't like the term AI CSR. I think it's just an AI agent. Mm-hmm. And it's really not an upgrade over CSRs. It's an upgrade over
missing everything.
Over missing stuff, over voicemails and people not leaving voicemails and that kind of thing. I think it's an upgrade. Like, sure, my AI agent can speak 180 languages and my CSR can't. I don't know. Maybe you're in Southern California. You might have somebody who can speak more than a couple. But, there's stuff I can't do. There was a job title at NASA called calculator. People to do the longhand math. That job doesn't exist anymore. Those people got other jobs. That set of tasks disappeared, and those people became computer operators. We didn't become less human. Humans started doing the things only humans could do.
Does this missed calls help with the emotional phone calls and the, I don't want to say irate clients, but the upset clients? Does it help with that at all?
I don't have data on it yet because it's too early. I don't have that but I think it helps with you make everybody feel heard. And I think that helps. And even when it can't be me and it can't be a tech and it can't be a CSR, everybody has the opportunity to feel like they were heard. And I think that helps with the happy clients and the irate ones. So yes, I think it helps with the irate clients, but yeah. I don't think it's limited to them.
So let's go just talk about technology in general again.
Okay.
What is the biggest thing veterinarians are missing when it comes to making changes in their clinic?
The biggest thing. So I think talking about all veterinarians is like talking about like all men or all women or all, you know what I mean? Like we're a pretty homogenous profession, but like
Right.
we're an eclectic bunch. Like we're we have come from all kinds of backgrounds and parts of the country and everything. But I think it is easy in vet med to miss that something that might be imperfect can still be better than what you have. And this is this technology, this AI technology is a good example because it doesn't come with like a 5-year contract that requires the blood of your firstborn and a pound of flesh. Like it's, if you don't like it after a couple of months, like turn it off, cancel it, it's okay. But I
make
think
sure you tell them why you didn't like it. I mean, that's how it only gets better.
I agree. I think like the one you try today is the worst it's going to be. It's better tomorrow, and the day after that, it's even better. And there's not a lot of things that get better that fast. Like if I've been using AI for 2 years in clinical practice, it has gone from a party trick to genuinely impressive jaw-dropping technology in 2 years.
Very simply, what I show people is I just for fun, because I can read an X-ray pretty good, but just for fun, I take a JPEG of an X-ray and I drop it in chat, I drop it in Grok, and I drop it in Gemini, and I give them the single bit, and I say, "What do you think it is?" And lo and behold, all 3 of them have the same freaking answer. It's incredible. It's incredible, and you get the answer in 20 seconds. And it's only going to get better. And I did that with an EKG the other day. It's only going to get better. And obviously I don't just trust it, but if it reassures me in what I thought was going on, then it's doing its job.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think the bane to at least being a veterinarian, the worst part is writing up records. Well, guess what? We have AI that can transcribe your records. Man. I think the problem with reception is answering every single phone call, especially when you have 5 or 6 lines coming in at the same time. And this will help with that as well. Like you're relieving these stress points that can easily be relieved without giving up too much.
Exactly. And like you said, it's not the keys to the castle. It's better voicemail. It's something you thought you wanted to do anyway, and we can do it better. Oh, okay. Well, what's the big deal? Well, it takes too long to set up. No, it takes a couple, maybe an hour. If you don't have a VoIP system, I don't know what to tell you, but I don't know how it works. But like,
you just use Chrome.
Well. Just use the Chrome extension. The Chrome extension, right?
That's all it is. And and then the other complaint you'll get, well, my staff won't use it. Well, then as a leader, you need to learn how to implement better.
Yeah, or they don't have to. Like, are they calling the clinic? No. What are they doing? Oh, well, they won't check the emails you get about it. Come on. Like,
just go to your dashboard.
Of course they will. Yeah.
All you got to do is go to the dashboard, and it's all right there. And if something's an emergency, it is flagged and it's on the top.
Yeah, I get an email about it. It's so easy. Like, oh, my staff won't use it. It's like my CSRs are gonna not answer emails because they're offended that an AI chatbot caught a call instead of them. Like that sounds like it's helping. Like
my receptionist would have hugged me. They would have hugged me.
I'm not coming from their jobs. I'm making it easier.
Right.
Like
exactly. And you're giving them more time to spend with the clients.
Yeah.
Which is Well,
Yeah,
it's a
I
full circle.
like, oh, is it imperfect? Yeah, of course it is. Nothing like I had to take my car in for service the other day. Works pretty good. Had to take it in for service.
Yeah. Well, hold on.
um,
Annual exams are usually done on healthy animals, but we still do them, right? We still do
sure.
them. It's the same
I,
concept.
in the I it makes so much sense to me that sometimes I have a hard time persuading people of its utility. I'm like, this is so much better. And if you tried it a year ago, and I did, like the software wasn't there. Nix is really good. Like there's been changes to the AI. There's been advancements in that software that um, weren't in existence a year ago, and it's really it works. It does its thing. Uh, you did ask, like, what if it's making a ton of mistakes? All right, well then we need to call me. I will help you write that form and train the AI your way. It won't take long. It'll take us 20 or 30 minutes. Like, what is wrong with these answers that's causing the output to not be correct?
Yeah, no kidding.
It
Well,
won't take
Bill,
long.
are you going to be at VMX in Orlando with Miss Calls.help?
I am going to be at VMX in Orlando with misscalls.help, and I am giving virtual lectures down there. So they are pre-recorded lectures on AI, but I am still there interacting with the people watching them via chat room, which is an interesting way to do it. So I will be there with misscalls.help, and I will be there as a lecturer as well. Are you going to be down?
I'm going to be there. Yes, I'm going to
Okay.
be there. I'm going to be at VMX and Vegas. And I told I'm going to be walking around. I love just meeting veterinarians. So I'm going to make some lectures, but they're not going to be the lectures on different things. It's going to be very simple lectures I go to. I'd like to go to the newer technology lectures if there are any. I don't need to learn about liver disease anymore. I just prefer those.
I do think I think VMX is really good at um, has been really good at getting like the latest and greatest, right? Like I think VMX has really made a name for itself. Like, hey, this is where products get launched. If you want to see what's on the cutting edge, the new technology, like it's a really good place to go. I think, and it's, and I mean, I'm into that stuff, so I enjoy it for that reason.
Miss Collins.help will be at VMX, and you can talk to Bill, you can talk to Nick, you can talk to anyone who's been using the product. They're at booth 928 in Orlando, and we would love to say thank you to Bill for being here today.
Thanks for
And
having me.
yeah, absolutely. And if you have any questions, misscalls.help is there are contact information on there. They do have a 3-month free trial right now, and if you don't trust it, just set it up to answer your calls overnight, because that no one's really doing that for you anyways. So you have nothing to lose. And if you're spending a lot of money on marketing, it only makes sense for you to answer phone calls to see how well your marketing dollars are truly working. Nick I think he's even talking about setting up, you can figure out almost how much return on investment you can get off of this too, just off of those 3 months.
He
You'll
it's
be able,
it's a lot, and
it's a lot.
he can whip up a demo one in like before you get back from lunch that you can call and try and for your own clinic and be like it's pretty impressive how um like he can walk up and say, hey, this is my hospital, here's our website, and he'll tell you like be back in 15 minutes and I'll have a number for you to call and try.
Yeah.
It's really
I
cool.
think Yeah, I think it's going to be awesome. I cannot wait to see you in Orlando.
Likewise.
I hope everyone tries to make it by. You got to come and at least try this product, because it's just one small little tool to have that will make your life easier as a veterinarian.
Just better.
For sure. Yep. Make your life better. Well, Bill, it was good talking to you. And we will catch you next time on Irreplaceable Truths.
Take care.